if you had a sort of a hope or a message for what's happening right now, given sort of the dialogue that we're having about women in Hollywood, do you have, like, is there something that you want to happen that hasn't happened, or do you feel like there's something that still needs to happen?
I think there's so much to actually achieve. I think all the conversations are great, but I think where it's most useful is when concrete measures are taken. So I just worked at the Royal Court Theatre, Vicky Featherston, who's the artistic director, when the Harvey Weinstein scandal happened, and in the months after that, she put together a code of conduct. So now when people go to the Royal Court and they start on first day of rehearsal, you're given a code of conduct and you read it, and everyone's required to read it, and it lays out how you're expected to behave in the workplace. And I think those kind of measures are really important. Mm-hmm. You know, I think conversations are great, but it needs to be set in stone. So when you come to the workplace, you know how to behave appropriately, and it's understood that anything outside of that is unacceptable.
And a whole generation of young women that are coming up now and their careers get to sort of see this isn't acceptable, because that wasn't often the case.
But I think it's also about young women coming through the industry feeling empowered to have their opinions heard as well. I don't think, I think it doesn't necessarily even need to be about abuses of people. I think it's more about feeling that your voice has as much value as the men around you, which I certainly felt in my career earlier. And it comes with youth and immature, but I think very oftentimes I felt like my voice didn't matter as much as the men around me in conversations about work, and I think there are young actresses now who'll come up and feel stronger and better because of what's happening at the moment, and like what they say matters, and they're allowed to have opinions.
We had an interview last year for Mudbound. We had breakfast in London, and you said that when you work with female directors, it's almost like the barriers for them are so much greater than they are for male directors. You feel like they've been through it and they're going to be great because they had to really prove themselves to get into the filmmaking industry. Do you
I think
still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. I think it's true. I think hopefully now we're starting to redress the balance, but there are people who've made great films who haven't had the opportunities that a male director would have had with the same. I mean, Dee Reese, for example. I banged on about it last year. I think she should direct everything. I think she's a genius, and I think if she was a man, probably those opportunities would have come quicker. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they are all coming, but I think that's largely to do with what's happened in the last year and less to do with her. I think all of these opportunities are now coming for women in a great way because of this great movement, but it's all right. It's all correcting something, but not, it's not. Anyway, I'm being inarticulate, but all I'm saying is that essentially there's been an injustice there's no meritocracy, but there's been a massive injustice towards women directors in the past, and hopefully that's starting to be corrected.
What do you look for when you look for a part? What are you looking for because you've had such a varied career and you've played such character-driven roles. What are you looking for when you're given a script?
I think just realistic portrayals of women. What I really enjoyed about reading Wildlife and playing that character was that all of her flaws are on parade. I mean, she even says in the script, were you discussing all my character flaws? Whatever she talks about, a conversation that her son had with her husband. And I think it's so rare to see a woman allowed to fail on screen. Women are sort of censored. Men can be celebrated in spite of all of their flaws. And I've worked on jobs before where my character originally in the novel or in the original script has behaved in a way that's sort of morally objectionable or unpleasant, and we've played those scenes on set, we've acted them, and then when it's come to the edit they've been cut out, and I've asked why they've gone, and I've been told, well, the audience really doesn't like it when she's not very nice. And I think that was such a false misconception. I don't think that's true, and I think unless you show someone's flaws, you're not seeing a full person. So what I love about Jeanette is that you see all of the mistakes she's making, you see her failing, and she's not being a great mother and she's not being a great wife, but that doesn't define her as a bad mother and as a bad wife. And I think when women are on screen, oftentimes if they make mistakes or they are failing, they are often the villain, and she's not the villain, she's just having a really hard week.